So today I went to Mass again for the Scrutinies. We have 5 people in this community that I'm going to that are going to receive sacraments on Easter, so that's awesome. So I heard the Year A readings again. These readings all really focused around the idea of death. About, like in the first reading, you've got Ezekiel, where God is going to raise up from the dead. I will have my people rise from the graves. Of course, in the gospel reading, it's the raising of Lazarus from the dead, and even St. Paul is talking about rising from the dead. Death is one of these quintessential mysteries that we have to face as Christians, and more than just the physical death, like the priest that I heard today talk about in his homily. We should be preparing for death constantly. Memento mori, it's the Latin phrase that means remember death. Tempus fugit memento mori, time flies, remember death. Are we morbid as Catholics? Maybe. Is that why we have crucifixes all over the place to signify death? Maybe. But it really is important to remember death constantly, because then it puts everything into perspective. If death is the goal that's in mind for the end of the Christian life, at least on this side of eternity, then ideally it leads us to make choices towards what's going to happen in eternity and not choices based off of the moment. So, as probably most of you know who watch this, I am no longer acting as a priest in ministry. I'll be a priest forever. I was ordained validly, and I will always be a priest. I just won't have the ability to do priestly ministry type things, except for anoint people in extreme circumstances. But part of the reason that happened, well, the main reason that happened is because I lost sight of the goal. I messed up. I failed. And if I would have been focusing more on the end goal, maybe I would still be in active ministry. But if you want to know, what happened is by this time next week when I upload the next video, I'm going to have my child, my firstborn child. And so I'm not saying that to be proud or anything like that. I'm just stating the facts of I made a decision and it had consequences. But even in God's goodness, even though I messed up, even though many of us, all of us mess up in different ways, because sin is definitely a reality and Satan is always scratching and poking, and he's very clever about hitting us in our weaknesses. God is so good that he'll continue to let us suffer through our consequences of sin and death, but then still try to transform those if we'll let him. So whenever I learned about my child that's going to be born by this time next week, I was broken, sad. I dealt with a lot of feelings, continue to deal with a lot of feelings of failure, feeling like I failed, feeling like I betrayed people and let people down, and all of these kinds of feelings. And in getting to explore those feelings after the fact of everything that's happened, I've learned that there was a lot of pride in all those feelings, and I think that pride is what kept me from looking seriously at my failings in the first place. Because if I had the humility to just say, wow, I'm really struggling with this right now, maybe I wouldn't be in this situation. But again, God is so good, because even though I made choices that led me away from ministry, forcibly in a sense, he's been good to me. He's let me learn from my mistakes. Now he's letting me learn how to love differently, how to raise a child, how to take care of somebody who's going to have a child, how to navigate all of those things, how to work a new job whenever I'm 35 and all I've known is seminary and priesthood. So in every death that we have, any kind of circumstance, whether it's the end of relationships, jobs, ministry, whatever the death that happens in life, as devastating as any of those things can be, God's still there. So don't lose hope. I think it's beautiful that Jesus waited 2 days before he went to see Lazarus. Because he could really show that even with death, that's not it. There's still more hope. There's still more to do, more to go on. He can even raise from the dead. So remember that, especially as we get very close to Easter. Holy Week is only next week. So let's see what else Jesus does for us, in the good and the bad, in all the rest.